Hi, how's it going? I hope you're very well and excited about your new course. So, if you've decided to take this course, intermediate level, I imagine that you already have some basic knowledge about grammar, that you're comfortable using present tenses, that you're comfortable with numbers, the past, maybe you make some mistakes, that you're starting to learn the conditionals, or maybe you think you already know them. So, the first video we're going to talk about common mistakes made by students at intermediate level. Okay, so the first mistake that I see people making in my many years of teaching English, when students start studying at intermediate, very often they're able just to speak quite fluently, but are often making some really important grammatical errors. The first one is with the past simple and the present perfect. So, okay, the past simple. What is the typical mistake? For example, I have been to London last week. Now, the problem is with the past simple, you have to know you can never say when. You can never be specific. In English, the past simple is a very specific time in the past. I don't want to bore you with the theory, but let's look at some examples. So first of all, look at the difference. I went to London last week and I have been to London. The first instance, I say extra information. What is the extra information? Correct, last week. So if I'm going to say when or who with a specific piece of information that I want the person listening to me to know about when something happened in the past, then it's always the past simple. I went to London last week. I saw John yesterday morning. I had pasta for dinner. So I don't need a present connection. This is the past, finished, and specific about when. The next mistake isn't so when do we use the present perfect? Present perfect. The key is in the name. We are connecting the past with the present. I mean, I have worked in Spain for 6 years. Have, present, worked, past. So, yes, because I started in the past and now I'm still working in Spain. This is difficult for Spanish speakers because of the way this is constructed in Spanish, okay? People say, llevo 6 años trabajando aquí. So automatically you translate, I am working here for 6 years. No, no, no. Remember, in English, we have to connect the past with the present. It's totally wrong to say, I am working here for. So we use have for the present, worked for the past, and then for the duration. Let's think of another example. Because the present perfect is also used in the past to speak about experiences we have. Well, why? Why do we need to complicate things and say, oh, why can't I say, I saw Madonna in 1999? Well, we can. So if we want the information that we're transmitting to be when it was in 1999, then we just use the past simple. But if it's an amazing experience and I want you to know that I am transmitting this information to you now, there's my cat. I'm gonna need a present reference. So I'll say, I have seen Madonna. Wow. I have jumped out of a plane. I have tried snails. Interesting, different information. We're going to look at all of these grammatical concepts in more detail later. Those are the first typical mistakes I see with the past simple, which is specific, and the present perfect, which is connecting the present with the past. That can be because something is still happening or because now you're expressing this amazing experience that happened to you in the past. Okay? The next typical mistake I see with my students are the famous conditionals. You know there are many, and in the next videos we will look at these in more detail. But just for now, the most common mistake I hear is, if I would have a lot of money, I will go traveling. Okay. I think this is because nobody has told you in a very logical way how is the best way to express this. You just need to remember that after if, in the second conditional, which is in Spanish, si yo fuera rico, this fuera, or si yo pudiera, or si yo viera, is always the past simple. If I had a lot of money, if I were rich, if I could live, blah, blah, blah. So, after if, you have to be clear. If, past simple. Okay? We're going to, as I say, we're going to look at this again in more detail. The next typical mistake is with the future. I don't know what's happened when people are teaching the future, and I have this conversation every week with somebody. Everybody thinks automatically, future will. Oh, hello, Vicky. Tomorrow I will go to Paris. Two mistakes here. When you do something, the present, the past, the future, is always at the end of the sentence. Remember, we start with who we are speaking about. So, then you say, okay, I will go to Paris tomorrow. Right, that's correct grammatically, but the meaning is different. If you are expressing a plan, we use the verb to be plus ing. I am going to Paris tomorrow. And with this, I understand you have the tickets, you have the hotel, everything is planned. 100% sure that you are going. Another example is, I am visiting my family in Madrid next week. Perfect. I am visiting. With this, I understand, okay, this is something they are definitely doing. They are sure they are doing this. Okay, because there are three options in the future. There is, I will visit my family, I am going to visit my family, and I am visiting. And the three transmit to me a different meaning. So you've got to get it right, or you're saying something that's giving somebody the wrong idea, you know? The next part is then, okay, so what is will? Well, will is when it's not a fixed plan. It can also be a promise. I will help you. Do you want to come to my party next week? When someone decides in the moment, okay, yeah, I will come. Offering help, promising, I promise I will phone you next week. This is will. Like I say, in the next videos, we're going to look at this in more detail. So I hope that if you only watch this video, you are able to correct these three typical mistakes that are stopping you increase from intermediate level to upper intermediate. And really, you just have to have these three things clear. So have a look at the presentation now to really try and understand and remember what I've said. And then I'll see you in the next lesson.